1. Let me tell you about this absolutely gorgeous 1972 Chevy C10 I just came across on Craigslist. This isn't just any old C10. We're looking at a Cheyenne trim level that's been seriously well maintained. First off, that metallic blue paint is just stunning, and being garage kept has really preserved its shine. Under the hood, you've got the reliable Vortec 350 V8 paired with a turbo 350 automatic transmission, a bulletproof combination that's proven itself over decades. With just 69,000 miles on the clock, this powertrain has plenty of life left. What really catches my eye is how clean this truck is, both inside and out. The seller's been honest about its condition, and the photos back up their claims. You're getting the desirable Cheyenne trim package, a long bed with a spray-in liner, super practical, and it's sitting on some sweet 20-inch Akuza wheels with good rubber. The modern upgrades like front disc brakes and power steering make this classic truck much more enjoyable to drive daily. And let's be real, finding a C10 this clean with no leaks or body issues is getting harder every year. At $19,900, while it's not cheap, you're getting a well-preserved piece of American automotive history that's been properly maintained and upgraded. These C10s are only going up in value, especially ones in this condition. If you're in the market for a classic truck that you can actually drive and enjoy, this one deserves a serious look. 2. I've got to be completely honest with you about this 1971 GMC 2500 listing I'm looking at. While these trucks are absolute classics, there's a real concern here with the extremely limited information provided by the seller. At $25,000, this is a serious asking price, but the seller has given us almost nothing to go on, just that it's a V8 with an automatic transmission and a clean title. The odometer has rolled over, so we have no idea of the true mileage. They've simply said, "See pictures," which isn't really helping us understand the truck's condition or history. For this kind of money, you'd expect a detailed description of the mechanical condition, restoration work, if any, modifications, and current issues. Without this information, it's really hard to justify the $25,000 price tag. These GMC trucks are fantastic when properly maintained, but we're flying blind here. I have to say, as someone who loves classic trucks, I'd be very cautious about this listing. You'd definitely want to see this truck in person, get a thorough inspection, and ask a lot of questions before considering it at this price point. Remember, transparency is key in classic car sales, and this listing is lacking exactly that. If you're seriously interested in a 71 GMC 2500, make sure you get all the details about its condition, maintenance history, and any work that's been done. This price point should get you a well-documented, well-maintained example of these classic workhorses. 3. We're looking at a really interesting 1970 Chevy C10 that's caught my attention on Craigslist. Let me tell you why this one's special. First off, this is a one-owner Arizona truck, which is huge for us collectors. We're talking about a vehicle that's likely seen minimal rust thanks to that dry climate. It's rocking its original straight-six 250 engine with 98 to 337 original miles, which is pretty remarkable for a 53-year-old truck. And get this, it's got a 3-speed manual on the floor, which is becoming increasingly rare to find in these C10s. The seller's done some nice upgrades while keeping things period correct. You've got power steering, a welcome addition, chrome wheels, and an interesting 10-gallon reserve tank on the side. The maroon paint job is fresh, and they've redone the interior too. Plus, it's still got that classic AM/FM Chevrolet radio. Now about that $30,000 asking price. While it might seem steep, we need to consider what we're getting here. A short bed, which is more desirable, one owner, Arizona-kept C10 with its original powertrain and documented mileage. The fact that it's a 6-cylinder might actually appeal to collectors who appreciate originality. The excellent condition claim seems backed up by the description and the truck's history. However, as always, I'd recommend seeing those straight body lines in person and hearing that straight 6 run before making any decisions. This is definitely a collector-grade C10, and while the price is on the higher end, it reflects the current market for well-preserved, original examples of these increasingly popular classic trucks. Just remember, original, documented, One-owner classics like this don't come around too often. 4. Let me tell you about this absolutely gorgeous 1965 Chevy C10 pickup I just spotted on Craigslist. This classic beauty is wearing a striking red paint job that really makes it pop, and I've got to say, that tan interior is a perfect match. Now, at $30,000, we're talking about a serious investment, but let's break down what we're looking at here. The seller claims it's got just 5,924 miles, which honestly, I'd want to verify given the age. It could be 105,924, you know how these old odometers roll over. But regardless, this C10 comes with an automatic transmission, which is actually pretty nice for a classic truck if you're planning to use it regularly. What really catches my attention is that this is a regular cab C10, which is becoming increasingly desirable in the classic truck market. These 60s Chevys are absolutely skyrocketing in value lately, and they're becoming proper collector items. Being sold by Southwest Car Sales, it's worth noting this isn't a private seller situation. It's a dealer offering financing and trade-in options, which could be helpful for some buyers. They seem pretty confident about the truck's condition based on their description. Just remember, with any classic vehicle like this, you'll want to do a thorough inspection. Check for rust in the usual spots: cab corners, bed floors, and rocker panels. These are common issue areas on these old C10s. For $30K, you're in the ballpark for a well-maintained 65 C10, but as always, I'd recommend seeing it in person and maybe bringing along a classic Chevy expert if you're serious about pulling the trigger. These trucks are fantastic pieces of American automotive history, and they're only getting more valuable. 5. Let's talk about this 1975 Chevy K5 Blazer I found on Craigslist for $29,750. This is a full-size K5 with a V8 engine, automatic transmission, and four-wheel drive, exactly what you want in these classic Blazers. The odometer shows 38,427 miles, and the seller claims it's in excellent condition with a clean title. At nearly $30K, this isn't cheap, but clean K5 Blazers have been going up in value lately. Still, you'll want to check for the usual problem areas: frame rust, top condition, and make sure that 4x4 system works properly. The price is on the higher end of the market, but if it's truly in excellent condition as claimed, it could be worth it. These are becoming quite collectible, and good ones are getting harder to find. Just remember, always inspect in person and maybe get a mechanic's opinion before making a deal. Would love to hear what you think about this classic Blazer. 6. Let's talk about this 1968 Ford F100 I just found listed for $7,000. Being completely honest here, this is a project truck, and the seller is upfront about it being in fair condition. It's got a 302 V8 under the hood, paired with a 4-speed manual transmission, and it's a factory 404 with a Dana 21 transfer case. That's the original setup you want in these old Fords. The odometer's broken, and the seller states the true mileage is unknown, though it shows 120,000. It's wearing black paint, but at this price point and condition, don't expect a show truck. Here's the real talk: $7,000 for a factory 444 68 F100 in fair condition isn't unreasonable in today's market. These old Ford trucks are getting harder to find, especially 404 models. The manual transmission and V8 combo is desirable, and having a clean title is a big plus. But let's be clear, you're buying a project here. You'll likely need to put in some work, but these old Fords are relatively simple to work on, and parts are still available. For someone looking to get into classic trucks without breaking the bank, this could be a solid starting point. Just go into it knowing you're not getting a restored truck. You're getting something that needs some love. 7. Let's talk about this interesting 1982 GMC Jimmy I found listed for $2,500. This is a pretty unique find. It's got the original 6.2L Detroit diesel engine, which isn't something you see every day in these old Jimmys. With 152,000 miles, that's actually not too bad for one of these diesel engines. They're known to go much longer when maintained properly. Let's be honest about the condition. The seller's upfront about some issues. There's some rust spots, and it needs paint, but they claim no body damage. Inside, it's got fresh carpet and the original seats are intact with no rips. That's actually pretty impressive for a 40-year-old SUV. The good stuff includes working power rear window, tow package with trailer brakes, tilt, and cruise control. The windshield is good with no cracks, and it comes with a new spare tire. At $2,500, you're paying for the uniqueness of the diesel engine and what seems to be a fairly complete running vehicle. These diesel Jimmies have a dedicated following, and parts are still available. Just remember, you're buying a 40-year-old SUV that needs paint and has some rust. It's not perfect, but it could be a cool project without being a total restoration case. These old diesel rigs are getting harder to find, especially ones that run and drive. 8. Let's check out this really interesting 1972 Chevy Suburban C10 listed for $22,000. This is a California truck with some serious originality going for it. We're talking about a two-owner vehicle with 122,000 original miles. The seller's got the original title and even the original California blue plates, which is pretty cool for collectors. Let's break down what we're looking at. It's a Cheyenne model in its original Cheyenne blue color, repainted about 8 years ago, packing the numbers matching 350 engine and original automatic transmission. The seller's being upfront about the condition. There's some rust on the tailgate and a few surface bubbles on the body, but claims the undercarriage and floor pans are solid, which is huge for these old Suburbans. Recent work includes over $4,500 in services, rebuilt carb, new tires, brakes, shocks, gas tank, fuel lines, starter, and battery. That's a lot of fresh maintenance that you won't have to worry about. The interior is claimed to be all original: seats, door panels, carpet, and all trim pieces. That's increasingly rare to find in these old three-door Suburbans. At $22,000, you're paying for originality and California history. These early 70s Suburbans are climbing in value, especially original examples. The price seems fair for a running, driving, well-maintained example with documented history, though you'll need to factor in addressing that tailgate rust and those surface bubbles eventually. 9. Let's talk about this 1978 Chevy K5 Blazer project listed for $5,255. Let me be completely straight with you. This is definitely a project truck, and the seller is very upfront about it. It's currently not running, which is the first thing you need to know. But let's look at what you're getting here. This is a factory-loaded K5 with some desirable options: AC, power windows, factory roll bar, and rally wheels with trim rings. It's sitting on a 4-inch lift, and the transfer case and shifter are present, which is important because these often go missing on project trucks. Now for the rough stuff. There's body rot in the passenger rear wheel well, and various spots of surface rust throughout. It's an Arizona find, which usually means less rust than other regions, but this one's got its issues. At $5,255, you're basically buying a roller with good bones and lots of factory options. These K5s are getting harder to find, especially loaded ones, but remember, you're looking at a non-running vehicle that needs work. The price might seem reasonable for a factory-optioned K5, but factor in that you'll need to get it running, fix the rust, and probably address other issues that'll pop up along the way. The seller's offering delivery within 100-200 miles for a fee, which is helpful if you're not local. If you're handy with tools and looking for a K5 project, this could be a decent starting point. Just go into it knowing you've got work ahead of you. 10. Let's check out this 1985 Ford E250 cargo van listed for $4,000. This is an old-school workhorse with 98,000 miles on the clock, packing a V8 engine and automatic transmission. The seller's highlighting some practical features. It's got dual fuel tanks, always handy for long trips, and they say the tires have good tread left. Recent maintenance includes a carburetor rebuild and brake work, which is good to know. What's interesting here is the potential. These E250s are becoming popular choices for van life conversions. It's basically a blank canvas inside, and these old Fords are generally simple to work on. The heater works well, which is a plus for anyone thinking about camping or conversion. At $4,000, you're looking at a fair price for a running, driving vintage cargo van with current tags and registration. These old Econolines are getting harder to find in decent shape, especially with relatively low miles. Just remember, you're buying a 38-year-old work van. While it might be reliable as claimed, expect some old vehicle quirks and probably some maintenance needs down the road. The carburetor setup means it's pre-fuel injection, so it'll have that classic van character and fuel economy. 11. Let's talk about this 1975 Ford F-250 listed for $16,000. This is an interesting one. It's got the 360 V8 with a modern upgrade, a Holley Sniper EFI system, which is a significant improvement over the original carbureted setup. Paired with a 4-speed manual and 4.4, that's a pretty sweet drivetrain combination. Let's be honest here, the seller lists the condition as fair, so don't expect a show truck at this price point. It's currently non-operational with the DMV, though it does have a clean title in the seller's name. At $16,000, you're paying for the desirable 404 configuration and that Sniper EFI upgrade, which isn't cheap. These mid-70s Ford trucks are gaining value, but this price seems a bit ambitious for a truck in fair condition, even with the EFI upgrade. The seller mentions they don't drive it much, which could mean it might need some attention after sitting. These old Fords are generally simple to work on, but you'll want to check all the usual spots for rust and mechanical wear. 12. Let's check out this sweet 1973 Ford F-250 Highboy listed for $27,500. For those who might not know, Highboys are specially sought after because of their unique factory lift and stance. They're basically the holy grail of classic Ford trucks. This one's particularly interesting because it's got the rare factory automatic transmission, as most Highboys came with manuals. Let's break down what we're looking at. It's got a rebuilt 360 V8, and the seller's done quite a bit of work. New power steering pump, rebuilt brakes with new booster, fresh shocks all around, and a rebuilt power steering control valve. They've also added some modern touches like a Bluetooth backup camera and Viper alarm system with keyless entry. The seller claims no rust, which is huge for these old trucks, and says the paint's in fine shape. They've installed a new rear bumper and factory-spec bench seat. At 738 miles showing, and with a Marty report to verify its authenticity, this is a pretty complete package. Being a 73, it's pre-smog, which is a big deal in states with strict emissions laws. The seller says it's currently registered, insured, and being used as a daily driver, which suggests it's a solid runner. At $27,500, you're definitely in the upper range for these trucks, but clean Highboys have been climbing in value. The rare automatic transmission, no rust, and all the recent mechanical work help justify the price. 13. Let's talk about this 1972 Ford F-250 Camper Special listed for $15,000. First, I need to point out something in the listing. It says FWD, which is definitely a mistake in the posting, as these F-250s were either RWD or 4WD. This is a camper special, which means it came with heavy-duty suspension components to handle camper loads. The seller claims it's in excellent condition with 88,000 miles showing, and they describe it as beautiful and amazing. It's wearing green paint and comes with an automatic transmission and V8 engine, which is the setup you want in these old trucks. At $15,000, you're in the middle range for these classic F-250s. Camper specials do command a premium over standard F-250s due to their heavier-duty components and increasing popularity among vintage truck enthusiasts. Unfortunately, the seller doesn't provide much detail about maintenance history or recent work, which would be good to know for a 50-year-old truck. Even in excellent condition, you'll want to check all the usual spots for rust and wear. 14. Let me tell you about this absolutely gorgeous 1972 Chevy El Camino that's caught my eye on Craigslist. Currently listed at $27,600, this classic beauty is turning heads at Dave Smith in Coeur d'Alene. The El Camino, part car, part truck, and 100% awesome, is rocking a stunning red paint job that really makes it pop. With just 27,391 miles on the odometer, this classic has clearly been well preserved over its 50-plus years. It's running with a gas engine and an automatic transmission, making it both a showstopper and a practical cruiser. What makes the 72 El Camino special is its unique position in automotive history. It's from that sweet spot in the muscle car era when style met utility. The clean title suggests this vehicle has been well maintained and hasn't suffered any major incidents. Now, I've got to be straight with you. The dealer's listing includes the standard dealership disclaimers about additional fees and charges not included in the price. You'll need to factor in things like registration, taxes, and documentation fees. It's always smart to get all these details sorted before making a deal. For any serious collectors or classic car lovers, this El Camino represents a piece of American automotive history. Just remember to verify all the details in person and maybe bring along a trusted mechanic for a thorough inspection before making any decisions. 15. Let me tell you about this absolutely killer 1976 Chevy 4R4 short bed that just popped up on Craigslist for $30,000. And let me tell you, this isn't your average old pickup. This thing's been given some serious love. The owner has clearly invested a ton of time and money into making this blue beauty mechanically solid. We're looking at a 350 engine paired with a 4-speed manual transmission, and get this, pretty much everything important has been either rebuilt or replaced. We're talking fresh motor, new clutch, new brakes, new tires, new U-joints, new starter, new alternator, new radiator. The list just keeps going. Both front and rear differentials have been rebuilt. It's got new ball joints, new leaf springs, and even a new steering box. The bed's been sprayed with liner for protection, which is always a smart move on these classics. What really catches my attention is how thorough the mechanical restoration seems to be. The owner's straight-up attitude, no tire kickers, suggests they know what they've got here. This is the kind of truck that's ready to work or show, your choice. The clean title and all these fresh components make this 76 Chevy a serious contender for anyone looking for a well-sorted classic 4x4. These short bed models are getting harder to find, especially in this kind of condition. Just one heads up, there's no odometer reading listed, so you'll want to check that out in person. But with all these new parts, the mileage might be less relevant than the quality of the work done. 16. Let me tell you about this sweet 1962 Chevy C10 that's just hit Craigslist for $17,500. And folks, this isn't your grandfather's work truck anymore. This beauty has been transformed into something special. Let's be real here. The seller Patrick has put together a pretty impressive package. The truck's rocking a 283-stroker V8, matched to a modern 5-speed manual transmission. That's a combo that'll give you both performance and decent fuel economy. The yellow paint really makes this classic pop, and those rally wheels wrapped in fresh Goodyear Wranglers just complete the look perfectly. Now here's where I need to be straight with you. The odometer shows 17,000 miles, but it's broken, so we can't really know the true mileage. But honestly, with these kinds of builds, it's more about the upgrades and condition than the miles. Speaking of upgrades, this C10's got some serious improvements. It's been professionally lowered, which means better handling, front disc brakes, much safer than the original drums, and power steering, because who doesn't love easy parking? These are exactly the kind of modifications that make an old truck more enjoyable to drive in today's world. The seller mentions it drives straight, handles well, and has plenty of power. All good signs that this truck's been properly sorted out. The clean title is another plus. For $17,500, you're getting a classic truck that's been thoughtfully modified to be both showable and drivable. The only reason it's for sale is because the owner needs cash for a new home build, not because there's anything wrong with the truck. 17. Let me shoot straight with you about this 1976 Dodge D100 Custom Stepside that's up for grabs at $6,500. And folks, this one's got a story to tell. First, let's address the elephant in the room. The engine's got a bad cam. That's a significant issue that needs to be dealt with right away. The seller's being honest about it, which I appreciate, and mentions the bottom end is rebuilt and it's got new heads. But you'll need to factor in engine work into your budget. Now, despite that mechanical hiccup, there's a lot to unpack here. The seller claims they've invested over $15,000 into this truck, and the list of new parts is pretty extensive. Rebuilt transmission, new tires and 15-inch rims, fresh carpet, bed cover, front and back bumpers, new brakes with LED lights, and apparently new seats. The red paint gives it that classic truck appeal. The odometer shows 2,800 miles, which is likely after a reset or rollover. It's got a clean title and the classic step-side bed, which is a desirable feature for collectors. Here's the real talk. The seller's motivation comes from a work accident that's limited their ability to work on the truck. They're open to offers and even trades plus cash, which suggests some flexibility on price. For $6,500, you're looking at a project that's had a lot of work done but still needs that engine sorted out. If you're handy with tools and love these old Dodge trucks, this could be a solid foundation. Just make sure you're ready for that engine work. 18. Let's talk about this 1978 Chevy C20 that's up for grabs at $2,000. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. This is a project truck in every sense of the word. Look, let's not sugarcoat it. This old workhorse needs a lot of love. The seller's being upfront about its condition, which I really appreciate. While it does run, that's always a plus. There's a significant engine issue involving either the hydraulic lifters or the camshaft. That's not a small fix, folks. Now, here's where it gets interesting. It's got a fully operational hydraulic tilting bed, which is a pretty cool feature and actually works. The seller has already tackled some issues, including cleaning and fixing one of the 2 gas tanks and replacing the intake manifold seal. At $2,000, you're looking at an honest-to-goodness project truck. There's no odometer reading listed, but on a truck like this, that's probably the least of your concerns. It's got the classic C20 3/4-ton platform, a V8 engine, and an automatic transmission, plus a clean title. This is definitely not for someone looking for a daily driver or a quick flip. This is for the dedicated DIY mechanic who loves bringing old trucks back to life and isn't afraid of some serious wrench time. 19. Let me tell you about this sweet 1976 Chevrolet C20 that's up for grabs at $8,900. This isn't just any old work truck. This 3/4-ton has gotten some serious love in all the right places. Under the hood, you've got the reliable 350 small block. But here's where it gets interesting. It's been upgraded with an Edelbrock intake and carburetor setup. Paired with a true dual exhaust system running Flowmaster mufflers, this C20 must sound absolutely fantastic. And that 4-speed manual transmission? That's the kind of engagement that makes these classics so much fun to drive. The sellers put in the work where it counts. We're talking new distributor, plugs, and wires for reliable starting and running. The interior hasn't been neglected either. You're getting a freshly reupholstered seat and new carpet. Even the tires are new. With 93,000 miles on the clock and a clean title, this C20 seems to be in that sweet spot where it's been used enough to prove its reliability, but not abused. The seller mentions it runs great, which is exactly what you want to hear. For $8,900, you're getting a well-sorted classic truck that's had meaningful upgrades while keeping the original character intact. This isn't a trailer queen, but rather a nicely maintained and enhanced driver that you could actually use and enjoy. 20. Let me tell you about this absolutely stunning 1955 Ford F100 that's turning heads at $21,900. And folks, this isn't just any old F100. This is a show winner that's got the hardware to prove it. Fresh off a January paint job in eye-catching orange, this beauty just snagged a first-place trophy in the 1950s category at a recent car show. And I can see why. Under that classic hood sits a 351 Cleveland motor paired with a C4 automatic transmission, which is a fantastic power combo that gives this vintage truck modern reliability and performance. The attention to detail here is impressive. We're talking disc brakes up front for better stopping power, airbags on the rear for adjustable ride height, and a freshly rebuilt steering gearbox, $600 worth of work right there. The interior is done up right with gray cloth seats, matching headliner, panels, and carpet, all in excellent condition. With 28,000 miles showing, though on these classics, take that with a grain of salt. A clean title, and the seller's assurance of no leaks and all working lights, including those cool halo headlights. This F100 seems ready to cruise or show. At $21,900, you're getting a well-sorted, show-quality classic that's already proving its worth on the show circuit. The seller's straight up about wanting serious buyers only, which makes sense given the quality of this build.